TG Geeks, episode 290, September 7th, 2020. To be evil or not to be evil? Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm coming to you, I'm Keith Lane, and I'm coming to you from the blast furnace of TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, coming to you from, and I don't care what Paramount Studio says, that soundstage is not Planet Hell, because we are living on Planet Hell. It is so hot right here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes, let's get right to it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the two gay geeks are discussing this.
Well, in this episode, I'm trying to get myself comfortable here. I see why Howard Stern sits the way he sits in his chair.
Oh, he's always fidgeting, and he's got his leg up in weird positions. It's like, God, I think the guy's doing yoga while doing a show.
I know. It's just, you got to get comfortable to do this, sit in front of him or behind a microphone.
Yeah, especially if it's for any length of time.
Exactly. We've got, a good friend of ours, Jack Mangan, who is getting ready for an Indiegogo campaign for a comic book that's based on a
song.
A song. Yes. So
yeah, I will let him tell you what that song is.
Exactly. We have our birthday shout-outs. There's some interesting ones this time.
What aren't there?
I know. There's always some kind of weird bit of trivia that I find at least one person. And then we have our podcast of the week, everybody's favorite feedback. Come on, Pia, you can call in. Leave us some feedback. Yes.
I mean, you're just talking into a phone.
That's
it's
right.
Okay.
And then we have our regular shout-outs. And in the second segment, we have a little tribute and a weekly recap and our shout-outs. So we're going to get right on to this interview. And this time we welcome to our show a good friend of ours that we've known for quite some time, way back in the old
oh my God,
the old days of the previous podcast that we were associated with.
Something or other.
Yes, Mr. Jack Mangan. Welcome to the show, Jack.
Oh, thank you so much, you guys. Yeah, I think we were podcasting together, was it 1978?
Yeah, well, at least that, yeah.
Try to never have got those kids off my front lawn or giant podcast.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Yeah, the thing is that everybody should be familiar with you, Jack, because
everybody knows you.
You know everybody, and everybody knows you. So that's kind of an interesting little thing. In fact, I was telling Jack just before we started this that he commented on somebody, a Facebook friend of mine, and I thought, how in the heck did Jack know him? Somebody that lives in L.A. or San Francisco or something, and then I said, "Oh yeah, that's right. Jack knows everybody."
Well, gee, maybe if any of Jack's friends hear this, maybe we can actually parlay this interview into something grander and bigger for us.
Oh, how about that? So, tell us, who is Jack Mangan, and what have you done, and what is your kind of story with podcasting, and then we'll get into what it is you're really wanting to talk about on this episode.
What have you done? Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I'm asked that. But no, I actually am. I realized a few years ago that I've been vocal about it, like many people who were born and grew up in New Jersey. I've been pretty vocal about that. I didn't really realize I was doing it at the time, but yeah, I don't think I sound like a Jersey guy, but yeah, I grew up in New Jersey, and I moved to Arizona in my late 20s. And I grew up I just always loved reading. I discovered Tolkien at about the age of 11, but even before that, I was a voracious reader. Just always loved it, and always kind of had the bug. Always had the itch to do some writing, and I tinkered with it. But then, really, in my early 30s, I really kind of got started and really got going, and I kind of became a little bit known. And it was really thanks to podcasting. I was promoting my first works, my first little short stories that I had published, and I was working on my first book, which is called Spherical Tomy, which the podcast world knows it as Spherical Tomy, Spherical Tomy, Spherical Tomy. And I'll explain that in a minute. But my first book was called Spherical Tomy. It was a kind of a cyberpunk-esque, far future science fiction type story, just a short novel. And then, around that time, I met the guys from Wing and I met Evo Terra and Joe Murphy and Michael Meningay. And that's from there, they introduced me to the concept of podcast novels and podcast fiction. So I created Spherical Tomy as one of the first. It wasn't the first. I can't really lay that claim. There were definitely people who came before me. Scott Sigler, T. Morris, Paul Story. There were a lot of people, Mark Jeffries, who were doing it before I was. But I was still part of the very first generation of it. And Spherical Tomy was kind of a hit at podiobooks.com, which was the first outlet for that. And from there, I've had a good podcasting career. I had my own podcast for about 8 years called the Deadpan Podcast, which is a great community of people who actually still, I pod-faded the show a bunch of years back, but people still continue to congregate around the site. We still have actually annual meetups. Probably not in 2020, but we still have annual get-togethers.
Yeah.
Often
have a Zoom meetup. Yeah.
Yes. And actually that kind of thing has happened. I've seen relationships form around my podcast, and it was a wonderful community. It was a wonderful time. It was a wonderful number of years. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. I could, of course, go on and on about the wonderful friends I've made, as you already pointed out. But yeah, that's basically where I've been in the podcast world. I did kind of, after Spherical Tomy hit, I will just say this much, and then I'll shut up and let you guys have your show back. But I after Spherical Tomy kind of hit and did fairly well, and it was in great company, as I said, with people like Mur Lafferty and Scott Sigler and T. Morris, and then it I kind of had to, it was just one of those things in life where I had to focus on some other things. For a number of years I focused on that. I kept the Deadpan podcast going, but yeah, so I'm kind of back to the writing world, and just and honestly, it's from mainly for me, but everyone, any writer can kind of tell you that yes, or any creative person can tell you want to share your stuff and get vindication, validation from people who of a like taste and like mindset. But yeah, I'm kind of back into the writing thing these days. So yeah, it's good to be back.
Cool. What made you want to go back into the writing thing?
The great
I would
pause.
say, again, it's one of those things.
Well, yeah.
It's one of those things I think where it's just been with me my entire life. And as I said, it was one of those things where I guess it's like if a figure skater were to break their leg and be off the ice for years, they would want to get back to it. So I think that it's just that kind of thing. It's just in me, and I'm glad. I will be a reader until my eyes don't allow it anymore, and even then I'll do audiobooks, and podcast fiction. But I think it's just part of who I am.
Right. So that's kind of what spawned this show is our previous engagement with Slice of Sci-Fi and several of the people that you already mentioned. And then when Mike sold the house and the studio went away, that Ben needed some kind of outlet, and here we are 6 years later. It's amazing how the podcasting world, and it's it's very big, but it's a small world once you get involved in it and you kind of get to know different people and,
I'll call it more of a podcast community.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. So
yeah, I would agree. I think there's a disconnect. People see, was it Joe Rogan gets $100 million for his podcast, and that I applaud him. I have no jealousy or beef with that. But
I do.
That's kind of not, I guess. Do you? Yeah, actually, you're right. Where's my $100 million?
Yeah, I'm bitter. I'm bitter.
We've made $24 in 6 years.
Wow, after taxes.
That's like $6 a
You're
year.
no kidding.
Or no, $4 a year.
$4
Sorry.
a year, yes.
Not even $6.
Okay, so now I'm not just bitter, now I'm pissed.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. What is it? You approached me because you have a really exciting project that you're working on right now. So tell us about what is that project and how can people get involved?
Well, I can't believe you asked me that. I'm so glad that you asked.
Yeah, it's amazing.
No,
Yes, you can. You can believe it.
I was playing coy. Come on.
Oh, was that what that was?
You were playing with the goldfish? What?
Kinky. This is about to get a really explicit tag. We got to stop.
Yes, you found my fetish. This is goldfish.
Oh, goldfish
it's a fish fetish.
Oh, dear.
Not those bettas, they just fight. Anyway, so one of the things I've done, and actually this is one of the reasons I'm really excited to talk to you guys about what I'm doing, is that I know that we have talked a bit about music. I know you're audiophiles, and I know you guys have a great love for music. And that's something that, of course, that has also been with me since as long as I can remember. Part of what I've done, as I've been away from the creative writing gigs, I've been a music journalist. A friend of mine, someone actually I used to be in a band with. And it's funny, we were not in a heavy metal band, but we were, we sounded more like Pink Floyd and Lenny Kravitz and U2. But, the two of us were in the band together. And he started doing a heavy metal blog, and it kind of grew and did well. It's called metalasylum.net. And he asked me to do some writing for him. So I started doing some writing and started covering music, doing music reviews, and I started kind of, doing backstage interviews and that kind of thing, doing interviews. And so it kind of grew from that. I spoke with a gentleman named Brian Tatler, who's from a very classic heavy metal band. They weren't as well known until, this is not a slight against them. They're called Diamond Head. And they had a great song called Am I Evil that Metallica covered when Metallica was up and coming. And, of course, Metallica, whatever you think of them, are arguably the biggest band in the world right now. They've just had a massive, massive career. And this song called Am I Evil was massive for them, and they really turned it into a worldwide phenomenon. And the Diamond Head song is actually also really great. As a kid, I heard it first because I was a Metallica kid, and then I kind of had, low expectations for the Diamond Head original, but I heard it, and it's really every bit as good. Metallica were very faithful. So in a roundabout way, I'm telling the story roundabout. When I spoke with Brian Tatler, I did an interview with him, and then, he and I were just chatting, and I just broached the idea. I said, has anyone ever taken Am I Evil and tried to make a story out of it, a novel, a comic or something? And he just really responded really well. He loved the idea. And so I got permission from him and from the other original songwriter of the song Am I Evil, Sean Harris, who is one of the founding members of Diamond Head. And so from there, because I know everyone, I was able to reach out and get some amazing artists. I have some fantastic artists on our art team. I'll drop their names for sure before we're done here. But I'm blown away by the artwork they've already provided for the comic. And so we're in a crowdfunding state. Obviously, this year is rough for everything, but we're going to launch an Indiegogo campaign on September 9th, the first Wednesday after Labor Day. We're going to launch an Indiegogo campaign to kind of just to establish our budget. It's going to happen. The comic is going to happen. The budget, but it could end up with me drawing a few stick figures and 3 panels on a piece of lined notebook paper, or we could end up with these amazing artists creating something incredible. The script is done, and actually I have some variations on the script based on what our budget's going to be. And as I said, we've gotten nothing but great support. I've had some wonderful big name people in the music world and the heavy metal world give me some support. So the project is really, really exciting. It's an exciting comeback for me. I've actually also gotten some exciting comments from people in the comics world. I won't necessarily drop their names because some of them were offline, but it's been really encouraging. So it's a great project to be associated with, and I'm very proud of what we've done so far. And and we're only just beginning. But the sky is the limit with this.
You said that okay, so obviously you're just getting the crowdfunding plan put together through Indiegogo. So obviously this is the very early stages, but have you gone beyond where you think this might go, and have you thought about maybe pie in the sky kind of thinking, if this really works out, gee, I would love to see this kind of take maybe a multimedia kind of approach?
Yes, there's a lot to answer there, so I'll try to keep it short. But
take your time.
There's we try not to indulge in a lot of daydreaming, but we recognize that there are a lot of ways that this can go. There are a lot of things that could launch from this because it's a beloved and it's a known property. And actually, I'll just ask, and there's no wrong answer, guys, but are you guys familiar with this song?
No, I'm not.
No.
Although I am a Metallica fan, but I'm not familiar. But I didn't become a fan until later on. I'm not all that familiar with their early stuff, especially when they were covering for Diamond Head. So no, I am not familiar with the song.
Well, one thing I will recommend the song to you both specifically is that the beginning of the song is intentionally, and Brian Tatler has said this, is intentionally based on Mars, the Bringer of War, by Gustav Holst.
Okay, now I'm interested.
Yeah.
So it has its roots in, which of course that's the most metal riff of all time. Holst beat everyone to it.
Right.
And it's of course it's a beautiful piece of music. John Williams, of course, owes almost his entire career to Holst. But it's a wonderful song, actually. It tells a great story. The story of the song is about, it's from our narrator's perspective, that his mother has just been burned to death for being a witch, and basically he's going to get his revenge. And so they have some wonderful imagery, and there's even some philosophizing in there. Believe it or not, there really is. And so it's very fertile, rich material. So I would love to see where this can go. Like I said, we want to get the story. The first things first. We want to get the graphic novel in print. We would love to work with anyone to get this out into other mediums. And when I say we want to get this graphic novel into print, we want it to be an electronic format. We want it to do traditional print where people can actually hold it in their hands and see it. But yeah, I would love to, and I guess any writer kind of daydreams about someone translating it to film or translating it to other mediums. I would, if there was demand, I would do just 100% pure text telling of it. But, other dreams we have, this is actually something I wouldn't say I was not aware of it, but as I've done my research for this project, it's really become apparent to me that this is actually a burgeoning subgenre. Many, many musicians have done their own comics. And actually, this even goes back to Kiss in the 70s had comics. So it's happened quite a bit. And my creative team and I, we've spoken with some musicians who really are interested in the idea. So this is something we would love to do more projects for other musicians, just basically taking their songs and telling them in the comic and graphic format. I think those are some of the... Like I said, I'm going to cut it off there because I could talk for another 45 minutes about the daydreams. But I think that those are some of our initial thoughts.
I think go ahead.
Something that you could do with a graphic novel, the print version that you are going to release, is insert one of those little plastic records.
Okay, now hang on a minute. What I was going to say is that if you did this as an audiobook,
yeah,
if I don't know if it's possible, but if the pacing were right, I mean, interject, in between chapters, excerpts from the song. If you can get permission from the publisher and the writers of it, that's just another pie in the sky kind of thinking. But I love the idea of developing graphic stories out of musical work like that, because I'm a big fan of very conceptual rock, the music of Pink Floyd, and I'm a huge fan of Dream Theater. So, and a lot of their stories are a lot of their songs are very story based. So to see something like this done, I think it'd be really, really intriguing. I mean, hey, Kevin Anderson did it with Rush's Grace Under Pressure. So I think there is a lot that can be done here.
and he did Clockwork Angels, which
Yeah,
is
with
excellent.
Neil.
Kevin J. Anderson did a wonderful job. Yeah, wonderful comic, and of course he did the novel, so he took it even further. But you're right. I also love the idea. I've read a bunch of them. Some, of course, I won't name names which ones were not done so well, but some of them have been done really well. I even read the band, the extreme thrash band Slayer. I read theirs, and it was very true. Like I said, I don't know that I would recommend it to everyone in the world, but if you're familiar with their music, there are lots of references to the lyrics. It's a great kind of fan servicing and great little tribute to the band. I think it's, I love the idea. And also, you really nailed it, Ben. I mean, as someone who loves music, you kind of are painting these pictures in your head, and it's really great to see. I mean, go back to the old MTV days. It was great when someone did a great video for someone that you loved.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something that's kind of missing. And funny you should mention that, because I was just thinking about how I really miss the visual element of being able to tell a story to something that you just listen to. I mean, and not all songs are suited for that, but there are some that have a really good concept in there. And I miss being able to look at that, whether it is in a film or in just a little video format, or even in print. I really miss that kind of thing. And to be able to have someone like you come along and say, this is a genre that's kind of missing, guys. There's a bit of a void. We need to do something with it. I think is very exciting, and it's something that I would certainly want to get behind.
Yeah. So,
I love to hear that. That's great.
So you're going to launch on just right at Labor Day, and you're working on your perks and all of that kind of neat stuff, and what your budget is and all of that. Do you have any ideas of things that you can throw out at this point? Or
sure, yeah, I will. And actually, I'll give. I can ask. And actually, you actually guessed one of them. Is that something I've considered? Is doing a podcast, pure audio over telling the story. If we can get enough, and that would also, for my I'm saying this with sarcastic quotes right now, but for my legions of fans and for my massive following, we can. But that can be another return for me. In a way, this is a return. This is kind of a resurrection for me. This is a comeback for me. But that can be another way that this is a comeback for me. It can be a return to the podcast fiction world. So that's the kind of thing that we've thought about. In full disclosure, we did do a Kickstarter campaign in April, and anyone who remembers April of 2020, actually I barely remember April of 2020. It was basically right as...
Is that like 4 years ago, something like that?
Yeah.
Yes, it was right. I can't even remember back that far, but it was right as all the uncertainty was really hitting. It was just, and I even got a message or two from people saying, "I'm sorry, I don't have any money, but I want to support this. But I'll try. As soon as I have some income, I'm going to support this." So it was a rough time to start, and that's all that I'll say about that. But we did have some, we did have some perks involved there and the Kickstarter. So some of those will work their way over. And by the way, I will say this quickly too. I'm pretty agnostic as to these fundraising platforms. Indiegogo just seems like the way to go, and the team was behind it. So I'm not going to bash Kickstarter or Indiegogo or anything else. But I'm sorry, I'm not answering your question. I'm avoiding your question. So the question is, some of the perks will be, we're actually going to target first doing 100% digital. If we can raise enough, then we'll also do physical print versions of the book. We'll do some posters if we can do enough. Some of the posters of some of the great images we already have, or some of the ones that are created by the team. We'll do some signed copies and signed things like that. And as I said, the audio version is one of the things. Those I'm afraid, gentlemen, I don't recall the rest. But that's no, we do have I have a good base of perks and encouragements and the kinds of things that fans look for when they want to support a project.
Right.
So
there
will be good stuff.
And if someone decides to fully fund it right out of their pocket, then the band will reunite and perform in their backyard.
There you go.
How's that?
Sure, I'll speak for Diamond Head.
There you go. Right. You heard it here, folks.
That's right. So with all of that, I'd love to talk to you some more, but we're running against the clock. So if people want to learn more about this project, obviously, so there will be a launch for Indiegogo. Is there any kind of social media presence on it at this present time, or is that still yet to come?
No, we do have an active Facebook page. It's Am I Evil Graphic Novel on Facebook. I don't know. I can send you guys the actual link so people can click it instead of guessing. But it's Am I Evil Graphic Novel, and we do have a website. Which is amievil-graphicnovel.com. I have my own blog, jackmangan.com. We also have an email. If you'd like to get on our email list, which I promise is not a spam list. We've not spammed anyone at all yet. We just would use it.
Yeah.
If you're interested, it's a good way to reach.
Yeah, he said yet. Yeah. We heard that conditional there. Yes.
So no spam. I promise. You can send me an email and yell at me if we do spend you spam. But yeah, it's amievilcomic@gmail.com. And you can reach out to us in all these different ways. But yeah, I'll be honest, one of my own personal promotional failings has been social media. I kind of stick to Facebook. We do have Instagram and Twitter, but we're not as active at those. So Facebook is our best. We will, as a team, we'll get better with that kind of thing. But yeah, so the long answer to your question is Facebook, our website, and of course, feel free to email us directly.
Cool. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for being on the show, Jack.
Thank you guys so much. I love your show. I love Jeannie Koch, by the way. I want to give her a shout out. And I love, you guys are great. Thank you so much for having me on and letting me talk about Am I Evil? And I hope everyone checks it out and enjoys it. And, you should check out the song as well, but check out the comic and when it's ready. And please help us to get there. Help us to make something really great as opposed to something pretty good.
Cool.
What a terrible endorsement. Oh, but anyway.
Hi, I'm Patricia Chica, director, producer, and here you are listening to my favorite podcast, The Two Gay Geeks. Oh, yeah.
I put that in there because Patricia is currently filming in Montreal for her feature film,
Montreal Girls. Yes.
Hopefully soon we'll get a chance to talk
I know she's
to her
been working on
that.
that one for a long time, and it's so good to see that it's actually in production now.
Exactly, and they're doing the social distancing and the safe thing. So it's really, I can't wait because they've been working on it forever.
And anything that Patricia does, it's going to be good.
Exactly. So here's a few selected birthdays for September 7th through September 13th, 2020. September 7th, Michael DeBakey, or we should say Dr. Michael DeBakey. He was a cardiac surgeon. He was born in 1908. During his tenure at Tulane University, he developed a number of items that eventually led to the heart-lung machine, or vent or ventilator, as it is referred today. And in World War II, he helped develop the MASH system, MASH unit system that they used during World War II and the Korean War. And then afterwards established the Veterans Administration Medical Research System, instrumental in the development of what in the business is called a CABG, a CABG, or cardiac artery bypass graft.
You should have written that one down. You should have written that one down.
We always just refer to it as a cabbage, as well as artificial hearts and a VAD, or a ventricular assist device. So he was just incredible.
A pioneer.
Exactly, a pioneer in cardiac medicine, as well as how to repair aortic aneurysms with a Dacron sheath, kind of like a stent, but it's a sheath that they put around the aorta so that keep it from expanding and exploding. He actually underwent one of those processes at the age of 97.
Oh my God!
Yes,
97.
97. Yes.
Please tell me he survived it.
Yes, he did.
Oh, thank you.
And he said no originally, but then he fell into a coma, and they decided that since he developed the process, that he deserved
a chance to work on him?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he lived for 2 more years.
Oh, holy moly. That's amazing.
Yeah. And he was on the Muscular Dystrophy Association board for many years and appeared on the Labor Day Telethon forever.
Oh, my goodness.
Since,
I probably
from the
saw
60s.
him, but because I used to watch it annually as a kid. And I probably saw him, but just never realized who that was.
Yeah, and he and Jerry Lewis were very good friends, and they, that's why he was on the telethon. And then let's see, he died 2 months prior to his 100th birthday.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yep. And then we have James Van Allen, a space scientist. He established the magnetospheric research. Mm-hmm. He was a proponent of putting scientific research equipment on satellites. And actually, that's how they discovered the
Van Allen radiation belts.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that they named after him. And then we have Dario Argento. He was a protege of Mario
Bava, yep.
Yep. And then Mira Furlan, actress who played Delenn on Babylon 5.
She was regarded as the Meryl Streep of Yugoslavia.
Yep, the Croatian National Theater, and she did a lot with in Yugoslavia. Mm-hmm. In fact, her and her husband, who is Croatian as well, there's some films and TV that they're doing for Yugoslavia.
I know that there was a time where she didn't think she'd be able to go back, but she has been back since, and she's an amazing person. And to be honest, I thought what she did to Babylon 5 gave the series such a sense of grace to it.
Yep. And then we have a Facebook friend of ours, Jeff Marriott. And let's see. Oh my God, Siri's activating again.
Yeah, she is.
Stop it.
She's being cranky.
Jeez, I didn't talk to you. September 8th. Antonin De Borja. He is a composer, very musically gifted as a child, and one of the first Czech composers to achieve worldwide recognition. Mm-hmm. And his Symphony from the New World he wrote in the U.S., and then also some string quartets that he wrote in the U.S. His setting of the Stabat Mater is played on the Met Radio routinely, and he wrote 9 operas, of which Rusalka is the most performed.
Right.
That has the Ode to the Moon in it that everybody is familiar with.
I think I sang something of his for the Music Fest, but I can't remember what it is now. It was
I can't remember.
Some sort of oratorio.
Yeah, it may have been part of the Stabat Mater.
It might have been.
Something else. He wrote
I don't recall.
a lot of religious
I know
texts.
that it was in Russian.
Yep.
That much, obviously, duh. But I can't remember what the piece was.
Yep. Then we have Martin Freeman, actor, The Hobbit, Sherlock, Hitchhiker's Guide, several Marvel movies, and he's left-handed.
Oh, okay.
As is Martin Freeman. Both of them are left-handed.
Okay.
So the last name Freeman, if you're left-handed, give us a call.
I guess.
Then we have Peter Sellers, actor, the Pink Panther movies, Murder by Death.
Oh, yeah.
Was supposed to be in Victor Victoria. The Pink Panther movies were incredible. He worked with Blake Edwards a lot.
Did we actually guarantee that he was? Because I kept thinking that there's that one character, that one inspector
that was supposed to be
him, wasn't it?
That part was written for him.
Yeah, I thought as much because it's something.
It
It's
was
so very klutzy.
It was so very Clouseau.
I mean, and it would have been hilarious if it turned out it had been like maybe Clouseau's great grandfather.
Yes,
that would have been
exactly.
great. I would have loved that.
Exactly. September 9th, Janet Fielding, actress, Tegan Jovanka in Doctor Who. She was the first non-British actor to play a companion.
She was Australian.
Yeah. And she retired from acting in 1991.
She still, however, does the Big Finish from time to time. She'll appear in the Doctor Who Big Finish radio plays.
Yep. And Jeffrey Combs, actor. And
Everybody's favorite Star Trek chameleon.
Exactly. I wrote down almost every incarnation of Star Trek. That's not exactly true.
No, because he wasn't in original series.
Wasn't in original series, but didn't he do? I think he had one episode in Voyager. He was Deep Space Nine, obviously.
He was lots in Deep Space Nine and in Enterprise as well.
And hasn't been in he has.
I don't think he's been in anything, to be honest. Those are the only two that I can think of at the moment that I know that he was in. I don't remember him being, obviously, yeah, we said DS9. I don't remember him being in Next Gen.
Yeah.
And I don't recall seeing him thus far in Voyager, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Done a lot of voiceover work as well. 5 different movies based on Lovecraftian stories.
Yeah.
He is one of only 2 actors to play 2 different characters in one episode of Star Trek.
Yes, that's right. He got to play Wei Yun as Brunt, as well as Brunt. Yeah,
in the same episode.
And I really wanted them to meet.
I know they should have met together.
That would have been
or
fun.
at least pass.
Yeah, they needed to at least
and then
look
do
at each
a double
other.
take.
At least look at each other. You know? But
yeah, and do a double take.
Yeah, but I'm sure the showrunners thought, no, that would be too
it's a little
cute.
too much. It was also one of 4 actors to play 7 different characters on Star Trek.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yep. J.G. Hertzler was one of the others.
Yeah.
He's played 7 different characters.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
I can see Hertzler doing it.
Yep. And let's see. Then we have on September 9th, Henry Thomas
Elliot.
Yes, he was supposed to play in a miniseries called Merlin in the UK, but a paperwork snafu caused him to be dropped because they turned him away at the airport.
Oh my God, no
because
kidding.
his paperwork was not in order.
I wonder who he was supposed to play in that.
Merlin, I think.
Maybe Merlin?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that worked out really well for the young actor who did take on the part.
Exactly. September 10th, Robert Wise.
Going back to Star Trek.
Oh my gosh. West Side Story, Sound of Music, Star Trek the Motion Picture, and Andromeda Strain. And who can forget?
Oh, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Absolutely.
I mean, a classic. I didn't know he did West Side Story, though.
Yes. Well,
Wow,
he
talk about
co-directed West Side Story.
That's still enormous versatility.
Yep. And worked with Orson Welles on Citizen Kane.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, didn't know that.
Yep. Henry Purcell, composer, widely considered one of the greatest English composers of the period. His 17th century English style was a Baroque style that was very typically English, even though it brought in certain Italian and German influences and French influences into the style, but it was definitely very English. He wrote an opera in 1688 called Dido and Aeneas.
Oh, yes, I'm familiar with that.
And his melodies in certain pieces have appeared in popular culture, from Wendy Carlos reworking the theme for Clockwork Orange, Jethro Tull's Passion Play.
Really? It shows up in a Passion Play? I didn't know that.
Some of his, yeah.
I didn't know that was attributed to, or any part of that was attributed to Purcell.
Yeah, and the style for the intro to the Who's Pinball Wizard is very...
suspended chord, major chord, suspended chord, major chord, because that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, like that.
Yep.
Huh, I had no idea.
Very Purcell. And
Then
we have a friend of ours, former next-door neighbor, and one of our favorite vet techs who sees all of our kitty cats, Shelley Andrew. Happy birthday, Shelley. September 11th, Carl Zeiss. He was a scientific instrument manufacturer and inventor. He revolutionized the way optical glass was manufactured and set certain standards in the mid-1800s for exacting, optical glass manufacture. The company that he founded still exists today as Carl Zeiss AG, and they produce some of the finest camera lenses made. If you have a Zeiss lens, oh my God, you have a work of art on your hands.
No kidding.
Then we have Moby, a musical artist who, lots of stuff.
We saw his house.
Yes, and he is a philanthropist for a variety of causes, mostly animal welfare, and is a vegan. And he bought the Wolf's Lair Castle, which is in the Hollywood Hills, for $4 million and spent another $2 million in renovating it. And we touched the wall.
Yeah, we did.
Up in the Hollywood Hills when we went hiking up there. And he downsized recently and moved to Los Feliz, which is just down the mountain.
Oh,
from there. On the other side of the mountain, actually. And then we have Roxanne Dawson, actress, Belana Torres on Voyager.
Imagine that.
We're in our rewatch of Voyager right now. She was married to Casey Biggs.
Yes, she was.
Gold
for a time.
at one time. And she cried when she saw herself for the first time in the Klingon makeup.
Really?
Yes.
I'm not sure how I should take that.
Hated it.
Really?
Oh my God. She said she learned to become comfortable with it, but just hated it.
Huh.
And then we have opera singer Trevor Martin on September 11th, and my favorite sister, Lynn Lane Hill. So,
your only sister.
Yes, my only sister, but she's still my favorite sister. September 12th, Ian Holm, actor, Alien, Bilbo Baggins.
Oh, yes.
He played Skinner in Ratatouille.
Uh-huh.
And his wife is Penelope Wilton. Harriet Jones, MP.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, sadly, now, because the man recently passed away.
Yes, in June of this year.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
2020, you officially suck in a
Exactly.
really, really bad way.
Exactly. He said of the feet that after the Lord of the Rings movies finished, he said, these things are like boats with toes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Desmond Llewellyn, actor, most famous for Q.
Of course.
He played Q, get this, 17 times. What is the letter Q? It's the 17th letter of the alphabet. And was sought after to play Professor Perry in Tomb of the Cybermen. But they couldn't get him.
Really?
Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah. And then we have Neil Peart.
Oh, my God. And here's another
Drummer
reason why
for Rush.
2020 sucks so much. Because we lost Neil earlier this year. Oh, it was so tragic.
Yep. And then we have composer Hans Zimmer,
Zimmer.
who's written everything.
Yes.
September 13th, Mae Questel, actress. Aunt Bethany, would you say Grace? Grace, she's been dead for 30 years.
No, the blessing. I want you to say the blessing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag. Okay, yeah, we're going to go down that.
Yeah,
that
and
path
she
again.
was. She also was the voice of Olive Oil in the
Oh, I didn't know that.
way back, and the voice of Betty Boop.
That I did know, but I
for
didn't know.
more than 150 shorts.
Yeah, I didn't know about olive oil though. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And the song, the record on the Good Ship Lollipop, which she sang, sold more than 2 million copies during the Depression.
I wonder if she got anything out of that. I mean, was it just a fixed rate?
I
mean,
don't
did she
know.
get any sort of residual? I would certainly hope so because she
You would
deserved
think.
it.
Yep. Arnold Schoenberg, composer, leader of the Second Viennese School, became known for his atonality and developed the 12-tone method of writing.
Yeah, I know who to blame.
Yeah, Alban Berg was one of his students. Then we have Barbara Bain, actress, Mission Impossible, Space 1999.
Interesting fact that Space 1999, the pilot episode, takes place on September 13th.
Interesting.
Yes.
Fascinating. And married to Martin Landau.
For a time.
For a time, yes. There was a quote about, she says, I've been married, half of it good, half of it not so good. That's enough.
Yeah, I haven't really heard too many details, but there's something to suggest that it did not end well for both of them.
Yep. And then Richard Kyle, or
is it
Keel.
Keel?
Keel, actor.
Speaking of James Bond,
Yes, he was Jaws in Moonraker
as well
and
as
Spy Who Loved Me.
That's right.
He was 7'2".
man was a
It said
mammoth.
Even though
He's a
he
beast.
mostly played monsterish parts, and evil villains, he was a very kind and
I
gentle
heard
man.
that everybody.
Yeah.
I know that people had met him at cons and whatnot, and said that every time he spoke to them, he was just so genuinely appreciative of the fact that people remembered him for the parts that he played.
And he was the only, at least at the time of the writing in IMDb, that he played a evil or a villain in 2 different Bond films. There's never been a villain that has returned.
That is true, because
They always die.
Well,
usually.
no, but I'm thinking of the head of Spectre, and the character's name went out of my head.
Yeah.
Him, but they always change the actor on that.
Right. And then we have a friend of ours, Helen Stevenson, who is involved with the Prescott Film Festival, and Tiffany Wilhelm, a school teacher in Seattle, Washington. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Blofeld.
Yes.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama Podcast. They would really appreciate it. That's a pretty cool podcast. Technorama, Rama.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counselors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
And this is our feedback time, and each of these story items that I'm going to be referring to, we will have the links for these in the show notes for this episode number 290 at tggeeks.com. Starting off with, regarding Katie Edwards' new tarot series book, The Hourglass Throne, announced. This was a very exciting press release on our part. We got a comment from KT Literary Agency, and they're helping to handle this. They left this comment on Instagram. They said the 2 Gay Geeks did us the honor of posting the exclusive sales announcement yesterday, meaning August 18th, and we were happy to do it. And we got a comment from Julie Sarneda, and she, also on Instagram, she just simply says, "Woo!" Well, we kind of agree.
Yes, exactly.
And then moving on, regarding Amazon Prime Video launches Welcome to the Blumhouse, a slate of 8 thriller films. Got a comment again on Instagram. Seems we're getting a lot of our feedback these days from Fill in the Blank One. Yes, that's their name. And they simply said, "Can't wait." And to be honest, neither can I. Moving on, regarding TG Geeks episode number 288, we had some birthday announcements, and we got some thank yous. First from Dominique Choisy, who says, "Thank you so much for the birthday shout-out. It's very kind of you. Have a very nice day." Got a comment from Rebecca Louisa Smith. She says, "Thank you so much for the kind birthday wishes. You're the best." And then a comment from Michelle Cannon saying, "Thanks for saying happy birthday." And we close this off regarding Andrea's Angle, Words on Bathroom Walls gives an unflinching look at schizophrenia. And we got this feedback on Twitter. A man named Christopher James writes this: "Thank you for writing so thoughtfully about mental illness, not just the film, something that so many get so wrong. It helps that those of us who live with it to inch further toward the open road instead of skulking in alleyways. I will be sure to watch this. bravo. And I will say that I usually look at Andrea's reviews before they post. I help edit them, and that was the best review she's ever written. It was so well done on her part. And yes, that's what we ran. Well, actually, that's not what we ran. We did run this previously, but you will see these articles in the show notes for tggeeks.com.
Yes, and if you want to leave a comment, you can do so. You can do that on our Facebook page where we post everything that we publish on the website. You can also comment on the website on each individual article or on an episode. You can comment on Twitter and Instagram and any place else that you find us. You can also call and leave us a voicemail. Hear that, Pia? And
it's just like talking to us whenever we interview you. It's really easy.
I'm just teasing you. You can call and leave a voicemail, and we'll play that on air. Call 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. I just have to say that the reason we're giving Pia Thrasher such a hard time is she said, "Oh, I may call in sometime
if I can get over she's got like shyness. She's really afraid to call in."
Yeah,
and like, Pia, you've been on our show several times already. It's okay.
It's okay.
Besides,
we love your voice.
Yeah. Besides, if we need to, we'll edit you. Fix it in post to make you sound even better.
Yeah. And as everybody knows, we are huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others.
Like Pia.
Oh, she is a fabulous, fabulous artist.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Her artwork and her filmmaking both are outstanding.
Outstanding. And if you want to support them, since the convention scene this year has disintegrated, literally, into thin air, they need support. They didn't have an opportunity to sell their wares or show new stuff that they have. Go to their websites, go to their Etsy pages, their Facebook pages, their wherever you find them, their Twitter pages, Instagram, etc. Talk about their stuff, chat them up about their stuff, and even buy their stuff. And please support independent creators. The Joshua Tree Feeding Program is a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV/AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. You can give a donation to Joshua Tree by going to jtfp.org, and you can give a one-time gift or a monthly recurring gift. They could certainly use your help right now, as these economic times are kind of difficult for everybody. So please consider supporting Joshua Tree Feeding Program. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
So, got something very personal that we need to talk about. Now, anybody who follows us regularly on social media or goes to our website will probably notice that we didn't put out a lot of content this last week. Yes, something personal of a not-so-happy nature happened. My mother passed away last Wednesday morning. She was in hospice, and she died shortly after 5 in the morning. We saw this coming. She had gone into hospice several days earlier, so leading up to her eventual passing, we were just not available to or able to put out a lot of content and report on anything new and exciting. On a personal note, I just got, my mom drove me crazy. She absolutely drove me nuts, but I loved her to no end because she's my mother, and she really was. She was not a bad person. She was a really great person, and just trying to do the best job she knew how. I loved her to no end. She could be a lot of fun. God, the story she would tell.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, just because of how she grew up. She was born in Santiago.
Yeah.
And her father was a diplomat, so she traveled all of Central America.
Yeah, she's got some amazing stories that, some of it are written on Word docs. I know that my brother Daniel has expressed an interest in putting those together and trying to do something with it. But she left us, and right now it is my fondest hope that the first thing she heard when she crossed over was the glorious voice of Freddie Mercury, because she loved Queen to no end, loved Freddie's voice. So I'm really hoping that Freddie got to sing her into heaven. I'm going to miss her horribly.
I will miss her too.
Yeah, we're all going to miss her. But that's kind of where things are at right now. So I'm a little off my game at the present time, and that's okay. But in the days to come, I should, hopefully get back into the rhythm of things. So, that's where we're at right now. But Mom, Maria Hughes, I miss you. I love you. And we'll be together again one day in the far, far future. And these are the things that I'm about to cover that we ran on our website this past week at tggeeks.com, and we'll have the links for each of these in the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com, starting with Sunday, August 30th, Nerdy Chupacabras number 11. On Monday, August 31st, TG Geeks episode number 289. On Tuesday, September 1st, Ben's Breakdown, Lucifer Season 5, 3-episode thoughts. On Friday, September 4th, Hamish Downey's 5 Questions with Jan Eliasberg. And we close it off with Saturday, September 5th, This God Made, hosted by Carlton Tetley, Episode 7, Magical Girl Spec Ops Asuka. That one, again, very, very funny.
Oh my
Check
gosh.
it out.
You have to check these out. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and
This Got Made.
This Got Made is hilarious, and you can find all of these at our website at tggeeks.com. Have some shout-outs that we need to make. First, to the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News for publishing our content from time to time. It is put out by the human Arkle, Brian Weber. You can find the Post-Dispatch News by finding him on Twitter. Do that by searching for Arkle at ARKLE, and you can also look for Arkle Studios on YouTube. Brian has a number of projects. He has his Shameless Cash Grab series, his Rants vs. Zombies series, and his game videos of Trick and Treat, as well as Star Trek Online. Just go to youtube.com/Arkle Studios. And we must give some shout-outs also to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First, to Gay Geeks After Hours. When I asked the moderators if we could share, they said, oh, please share away. Their URL is facebook.com/groups/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then to The Gay Geek. Why? The same reason. And you can follow them, or at least you can follow them, find them, whatever, by going to their URL, facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. And as always, we must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
And we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio, 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays. Listen to their other content. They're a 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Don't forget?
Skip to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can listen to our show and surf the internet. And I just have to say, one of my favorite stories your mother told was when she was in Nicaragua.
Oh, my God.
And she was 8 and she had broken her leg.
Yep.
And just prior to that, her father had sent in the diplomatic pouch a note saying, "Get me out of here."
He hated it there. He wanted to leave so much.
And Somoza's wife said to his wife, Do you not like it here? Are we not taking care of you? And then shortly, she broke her leg, and she was scooped up,
my mother,
taken to the presidential palace,
where she was taken care of,
and taken care of until she healed.
She was kidnapped.
She was kidnapped. A political kidnapping.
My mom was involved. She doesn't deny. She
denies it. No.
It was a
was a political kidnapping.
My mother was a victim of political kidnapping.
Exactly.
Imagine that. That's how crazy my mom's life was.
Yep. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for the Webcast episode. You can find several of the links of the things we talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Please stay home, stay safe, stay sane. Peace.
Cheers.